Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 46 of 46 podcast. The spring-like weather is in the air up here in the Adirondacks this week. We've had temperatures in the 50s for what feels like an entire week, and it has been absolutely amazing. The days are longer. What a time of year. However, 4 inches of snow is on its way Monday night, so we all know winter is far from over up here in the ADK, but it has been amazing nonetheless, as most of the Northeast is experiencing some beautiful, beautiful pre-spring weather. But this week, I'm back with another fun-filled and very special Summit Session episode. I am joined by some of the members of the recently graduated Great Range Athlete Phelps team, and we are going to dive into our recent winter group hike up Phelps Mountain right here in the Adirondack High Peaks. We're going to hear from each of the members with me tonight about the hike, about their experience training and building strength and endurance for their outdoors adventures this past January and February. It was a magnificently fun time. But the Great Range Athlete Phelps team stretched from Vermont all the way to Washington State. And it was a pleasure leading this group of 21 mountain athletes who are aspiring to get stronger and fitter so that they can enjoy their hiking adventures this summer. It was an awesome time. But the Great Range Athlete Phelps team, welcome all of you to the 46 of 46 podcast. All right. I told them all to mute their microphones before we started the podcast. And now as I welcome them, of course, they're muted. So that's on me. But anyways, welcome everybody. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Looking forward to talking with all of you about your experience with the program, but more importantly, your experience getting prepared for your outdoors adventures, because that's what it's all about. Now, I'm going to start with Mr. Steve Von Schenk. So Steve, are you a two-time 46er yet? I know you were two-ish. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done 2 rounds.
All right, 2 complete rounds. So Steve hit 70 years old. He was a part of the Great Range Athlete team. He is a 2-time 46er, and he is still out in the Adirondack High Peaks. So may that inspire all of you listening that you should be hiking for a very long time. But Steve was joining us in the Great Range Athlete team. He has been a avid supporter of this podcast. So, Steve, I'm a pleasure to have you here tonight. But I want to hear from you. How was your experience with the Great Range Athlete team? You know, given your experience already hiking, already knowing what these mountains are like, how did you see your performance kind of boosted when we were out there on Phelps?
Well, I'll tell you, my journey with this whole program really started about 9 months ago. I was helping my son move furniture at his house, and we were moving something up the stairwell, and it was hard. It was really hard. And my son said to me, he said, "Dad, I think you lost your dad's strength." And he was right. My strength was gone. I was in my late 60s, wasn't nearly as strong as I had been. I had run 21 marathons in my youth, done the 46ers twice, but I was losing strength, that what he called dad strength, right, doing yard work and all that kind of stuff. So I got familiar with your podcast and your programs, and I actually started the Seek to Do More program, I think last July, and in an effort to really improve my strength as I was getting into my 7th decade. So that ended, I think, late 2024, and I had really great improvements, such that I actually said to myself, you know what, for my 70th birthday or year, I'm going to do the Great Range again, which I had done, 5 or 6 years ago, but couldn't do it now. I said, after the Seek to Do More program, I think I can do this. And as I talked to you about it, you were very encouraging. And we embarked on a program. And one of the things I used to do when I ran marathons was I'd have mini goals throughout the whole journey of getting in shape for a marathon. I'd run 5Ks, 10Ks, things like that. Well, to me, the Great Range Athlete program was like that. It was like a 5K or a 10K for me in the midst of training for this bigger goal, which was going to be the Great Range. So I embarked on a 6-week program with these great people that are with us. And I must tell you, my strength improved significantly by the end of that 6 weeks. And it was all of these exercises that I had never done before, kind of old school, I call them, the burpees and the goblet squats and the mountain climbers and all of that stuff. It was all stuff that was new to me, but boy, did it pay dividends. The other thing about the program is the Marco Polos. I mean, we all motivate each other, and when you feel like sitting down and doing nothing, somebody comes on a Marco Polo and says what they're doing, and it gets you motivated, and off the couch you are, and you're back into the program. So it was just a wonderful thing. I'm very optimistic about the Great Range in August. The Phelps experience was fantastic, and this group of people were great as well too. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Glad to
Thank
hear
you.
it. So when Steve says the Great Range, I just want to clarify he is referring to the Great Range Traverse. He is going after the Great Range Traverse. So may that again continue to inspire you about what you're able to do in the mountains, and also may it help you to eliminate the excuses that you have, as Steve just hit his 70th birthday. So exciting stuff, Steve. It's been great having you in there, and I'm glad that you also appreciated the Marco Polo. It is if you're not familiar, Marco Polo is an app that we use, but people tend to hate it until they see how powerful it is, and then they hate it because it's so powerful to get you off the couch when you didn't really feel like doing it. But it's a fun little tool. It's how we build the community and the camaraderie, and that's how we get to know each other, and it's a good time. So when we did go out into Phelps, we had a nice winter hike. It was an awesome day. The winds were, as I say, whipping as we got to the summit. Overall, the team performed so well up in the mountains. It was a great day. It was other than like sticky snow, I would say it was a pretty perfect winter hike. It was temperatures. I don't remember what the temperatures were. They were like I think high of 30 degrees or something like that. So pretty prime winter hiking conditions. We all made it to the summit, no problems. We made it down, no problems. A magnificent day in the Adirondack High Peaks. So I want to move on now and talk to you, Rob, Mr. Rob Slate. You were on the group hike with us, and I know that you had an exceptionally good performance out there that you even surprised yourself a little bit. So, Rob, I want to hear from you. What made you decide to join the Great Range Athlete team, and then how did the group hike fare for you when you were up there?
Well, I think I joined the Great Range Athlete to build more confidence, and that was the reason one. And I was a struggling hiker, so when I used to hike, I would complete the hikes, but I'd be laid up for like a week, just muscles beat up and body just not in shape for it. Um, I wanted to get better trail strength, and seeing your program, the other people previous to me doing it and stuff like that, I was like, I got to do this. I really got to do it. And plus, you nudged me along a little bit too, I think, and we were back and forth, and you finally talked me into it. But yeah, it was. I'm glad I did it though. It was one of those things where I think we talked many times about this. Cardio is something I've always had. I went through a spell in my life where I lost some weight, but I lost muscle mass. Um, and the cardio didn't help me on the trails, and I was really missing that a lot. But and when we did the hike, oh man, I mean, I had a great time. That was awesome. Mr. Von Shank, great conversations with you the whole way up. That was awesome. Mallory and Amy too. We had some good conversations. Um, but me being a hiker, I've never really talked to someone like that hiking. It was always kind of like reading your book, James, how that struggling hiker you first did Big Slide when you went up and you were like out of breath and stuff like that. I'm not saying I'm always like that, but just to feel good the whole way up, it was great. A great feeling too. Came down, no problems at all, and I had to drive back to Syracuse that night, and I think that's the only thing that got me was the long drive back, because my body was in good shape. I was actually, if I had to hike the next day, it would be, let's do another one. I definitely was feeling good about it. It was great.
That's great.
I
So
was
like
wishing I had another one.
absolutely. So, talk about that for a little bit. Like how did that feel knowing that, you're like laid up for a week after, but you could have gone
Oh,
the next day? Like what a difference that makes for your ability out on the trail, but also just like how you feel about hiking, right?
oh yeah. I mean, the confidence level. It's just, granted, it's different hiking in the snow than, on the rocks pounding on your knees and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but, just to be able to do that and to see where the 6 weeks got me, was, what I can do even more going forward. There's so much more I want to do. I'm an aspiring 46er. I have 30 in. I'm looking, to do as many as I can. Living 4 hours away, I don't have that luxury of doing them every weekend, or I try and do them as whenever I can get up there, as much as I can. I have a very supporting wife who lets me go up there when I can too. So, and it's one of the things though too. It's like who's available to go with me, and one of the things I think I mentioned that when we first did the program, the first initial Zoom call was, I want to build more confidence in case, I want to go do this. Maybe I want to do this by myself. Maybe the wife wouldn't like it, but I like to try and maybe do some of that stuff by myself though too. And just feeling overall strength. It was great. Um, I don't know. I highly recommend it.
Building that confidence also just opens the doors to what you're
Yes.
able to do when you don't have to depend on other people being there with you. You can all of a sudden go anywhere and everywhere, and that really does open the doors to the adventures you can have. Glad to hear it. Now you said you're
It really
30
does.
high peaks in. You still got like the usual suspects to go, the Sewards, the Santanonis,
Okay,
Allen.
so funny one. I've been to the sewer range 5 times. I've
Oh,
done
dear
three of them,
Lord.
and
Oh, wow.
I know I orphaned Emmons too. So of all ones, but so my nephew's got to go. He's got to do Seymour, and we got to do Emmons. So we got to do it on both sides. So I don't know. We'll figure that out, and then I got to do Haystack, Basin, and Saddleback, Allen, and the Santinotis.
Got it. Yeah, so
And
you'll be
then I
starting your
want to.
second round in the Sewards at that point, like your second round of the 46 that day, because you're
But
going to
I
be.
love that. I love that range. I don't know what it is about that range. I really do love that. And when I went every time, as soon as I've been with someone different every time too. But hopefully, if my nephew goes with me again though too. And we're hoping to end on Whiteface. That's the game plan. That's where we want
Sure.
to end.
All right, very cool. I have a friend and a former client. Shout out to Isabel. She was in the Seward Range, I think, 4 times this past summer. Same type of story. Just, weather this day, not feeling right the next day. And she's from Buffalo, so it's just a long drive.
Yeah.
Just weekend after weekend, trying to tackle the Seward Range, and it was not kind to her. So I've heard that story a few times now. But anyways, glad to hear your story, Rob. It's awesome seeing the progress that you made, and also the progress that you made throughout the program in terms of watching you kind of like come out of your shell in the Marco Polo and just start to
Oh
really
yeah.
buy into what we're doing here from both the training and the whole community. So you were a core member of the team, and getting to meet you on the hike was awesome too. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, the Marco Polos, I was really nervous about when we first started doing them. Like I said, I'm not a very outgoing person. And just to see the accountability, like everybody checking in and like different times, you're like, oh, I got to do this today. And then kind of hear how the workout went that morning. Maybe you're doing it later on in the day. And I think that one time that we were doing the step ups and Andrew happened to be doing the same time, and we were like kind of like back and forth pushing each other. That was so much fun. That was a lot of fun though. I definitely I didn't think I would like it, but I loved it. I think it was pretty cool, and hopefully we a lot of these people we meet up again sometime and do some more hikes. Definitely.
Oh, there will be more hikes with the Phelps team. I can guarantee you that. The more
Good.
hikes, especially once the summertime comes, people are coming up. Like more people will certainly be doing that. But awesome, dude. Glad to have you here. Appreciate you being here, and thanks for coming on the podcast as well. Especially when you're on vacation down in sunny Florida right now. Very
Yeah.
good.
What's funny is that my first initial Zoom call was in Florida. I drove my sister-in-law down here, and now my last Zoom call is I'm in
All
Florida
right.
again.
We have come full circle with Mr. Rob Slate from Syracuse. Very good. Thanks for being here, my friend. All right, let's
Thank you, sir.
move on. Let's see, we got a list here. Mallory, we'll stay in Syracuse for a minute. Mallory, the marathon runner. I want to hear your story. So, Mallory is a marathon runner, aspiring Adirondack 46er. So, Mallory, talk to us a little bit about what brought you to the Great Range Athlete Program and then how your hike up Phelps went for you.
Hi. You can hear me, right?
We can. We can't see you
Oh,
on
shucks.
Zoom, but I can hear you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I tend to drag my feet with everything. And so I had wanted to sign up for this program for at least a year. So I don't know if I was ahead or behind my curve with timing and stubbornness, but I had listened to like this exact episode of like the Colden team and other teams, and I just thought like the people really resonated with me and I wanted to like meet people like that. So I say to everyone who's like, what are you doing? What is this great range athlete? And I'm like, I wanted to meet like-minded people. And I just kept saying it, but it's so true, especially in the sense that like afterwards, how I would say half of us are still on and like redoing the program. And like, I just think it's so funny that everyone had the same idea because we like the same things and we're motivated. And so the biggest thing for me, I would say even more than like climbing Phelps was signing up and doing the Marco Polos. Obviously, I didn't do all of them, but just getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I was surprised by how hard the program was and definitely humbled because I am a marathoner and I've done CrossFit for years, but I had just hit this plateau and was knew that I needed to have that accountability piece, and that was what was missing. And it was like it was like magic, like the Marco Polos every morning, um, the early birds getting on and getting it done ensured that I would too. And just like that the intensity was there, even though I was in a room by myself, they were doing it. So I was going to do it too. And I feel very fortunate that I was able to do the climb with and meet those people and hang out with Steve, Rob, Amy, Joey, because I was in the back of the pack. I think I was honestly like the least experienced, and I would have been like number 9 in our single file line. But I think those folks in the back were like making sure I was okay, which was super sweet. But it was just the best experience.
So glad to hear that. So talk to me a little about from like the fitness standpoint, because again, you are obviously in very good physical shape being a marathon runner, but again, hiking mountains, it's like a different type of beast. So how did
Yeah.
you find your body performing in the winter, which was also your first winter high peak, if I recall correct? It was your first winter high peak?
Yes,
Awesome.
yes, it was. So I would say that your programming made so much sense when we were out there on the trail. I was like, oh, like those calf raises, like I get it now because that was like a burner. That was like the hardest part was that like steep incline towards like the top, getting up Phelps, and just like how you programmed it was like so unique. And I knew the movements because of my CrossFit background. Um, but I never thought I needed a trainer. And then you just have to I had to let go of the ego and realize like even coaches have coaches, and I'm not a coach, and I needed a coach, and you were the best coach. And especially just because you got on there and did it too, um, which I thought was really motivating as well. Um, for sure. And then because my frustration with marathons is I'm not a Speedy Gonzalez. I told Steve this, like, and we really related to each other because he picked a cause. His was leukemia, and that's how he would run his, I can't even believe it, 21 marathons. So I've done 4. And so the big majors, you have to fundraise if you don't qualify. And so I really get into the fundraising and all of that, but I also want to get faster. And like, I'm not used to being like back half and like just seeing my last stats in my last marathon. I was like, this, I can do better. I know what I'm missing is the strength programming and the speed training, and everything is, I associated it with like running is lonely. I make it lonely. I go out and run 20 miles by myself. And so I need people next to me to kick up that gear. Like I know I can do 26.2, but now I know I can do it better. So that's what this program did for me.
Awesome. So glad to hear. It was awesome having you in there. Awesome getting to meet you on the hike. And again, like seeing, getting your emails about, the week of, you were nervous, right? You were
So
worried that you're
nervous.
going to hold the team back, or like you don't know about winter hiking. And it's like seeing you get to the summit, seeing people overcome that fear of A, hiking in the dark, B, getting to the summit in the winter, especially. Like it's always exciting watching those things. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to guide you to the top of that mountain. And you did a great job. Fantastic. It was great having you on the team.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's move it on. We're going to go over to Pennsylvania now. Miss Ann, the legend of the Phelps team and from Pennsylvania. Talk to me about how you came across this Great Range Athlete program and like kind of what your experience was. So you didn't get to come on the group hike, but you had a bit of a win yourself on the trail throughout the program and recently. Talk to us about it.
I did. Well, I kind of knew when I jumped into the program, I don't want to say at the last minute, but pretty close to when it started, with my schedule and things like that, that I wasn't, there was a very low likelihood that I was going to get to go on the Phelps hike. And then on top of that, you know, when I was talking to you, I guess right at the beginning of January, end of December, I had well, it was the beginning of January, I had the flu. So like the entire time I was in the program, I was sick. So, and I'm still getting over my cold, so I sound pretty bad. But I wonder, after all the progress that I made, how much better I would do if I was actually healthy when I did the program. But I was waiting for the right moment to get out. We had a bit of ice here in Pennsylvania, and although I did end up picking up some micro spikes during the program, because when we were going on some of our small area hikes or rucks and stuff, I realized that I needed some. But I finally had the opportunity to go on a group hike with some other people. That's just, I didn't even know about this trail that's only, you know, 15 miles from, well, 15 minutes from where I live. And it was just fantastic. It was exactly what you would want me to do in my local area. It was like straight up. We were hiking to the top of this bald in Pennsylvania. It's just over 1,900 feet, and had some pretty steep elevations near the top. And I got to really test my new legs. That's how I feel about it. I'm always kind of a slower hiker anyway, but I was getting really frustrated the past few years that cardio wasn't really quite getting there for me, and I really was perturbed that I could never figure out how to make my legs stronger in a way that I don't want to say enjoy doing, because I certainly like the exercises that you gave us, at least some of them. But it just was, when I was trying to do it myself, it was very random. So to finally go through your program, the way you, like Mallory said it, like how you were sequencing all these different activities that we had to do, and some of them, I had no idea what they were. You know, some of them, to mirror what Steve said, reminded me when I was in grade school, we had to do like squat thrusts and all these kind of calisthenics when we were in gym class. But it made my legs stronger. And I got up this hill with these people, total strangers. I had a great time. I made it back down the hill. I felt great. The only part of my body that really was struggling was still my calf muscles. You know, Mallory was just talking about that. And so I have to keep working on those. But it was just super fun. I felt that as I've been getting older, I had to scrutinize the hikes I wanted to go on too much. You know, really, what's the trail profile? Is there scrambling? Is there too much elevation for me? You know, and I got kind of annoyed that I was always having to do that, or maybe passing up on hikes that I'd like to go on, because I thought maybe the trail would be too hard for me. And I was also trying to keep up with my teenage daughter because she's a really fast hiker. So there was all kinds of reasons, but I was just super proud of myself after going through the program and then getting up that one trail. So I'm looking forward to some more kind of ambitious hikes in the next month or so.
I love it. The strength training has continued to open more doors to the outdoors for you, more adventures that you can have now. And kudos to you for being sick throughout the program, but showing up week after week
Yeah.
after week, stepping outside your comfort zone from the group Marco Polos to the actual training, learning new movements, continuing to push yourself despite being sick all the time. So once again, for all of the podcast listeners, what is your excuse? And great job. Glad to have you on the team. I probably can speak for everybody that says your Marco Polo messages were always the inspiring and enjoyable messages to read. I think everyone would agree. So I really
Oh, I
appreciate it.
don't know about that. I was really
No, no,
actually very
no. It
inspired
definitely
by
was.
him.
Definitely was.
Well, I have to say, like for me, like kind of looking up at the people posting, I was always getting my daughter ready in the morning for her high school bus, and the pings would start coming in. And so when she would leave, I would start looking at the posts everyone would make, the people who like to work out in the morning. And I have to say, I was always a little jealous of like Rob and Grant and Andrew. You guys are always carrying these like super heavy packs. And I'm like, I'm not ready to go up to like 40 pounds yet. But, and then too, the people with babies, I know how hard that is when you have a little one to like put that time aside for yourself, to take care of your own self and not just like be too tired to exercise. So it was really interesting watching the dynamic of everybody, but I'm very used to embarrassing myself. So it's not really a big deal for me to say some things that were rather forthcoming.
No, I love it. It was always inspiring, and I really appreciate it. Moving on, speaking of babies, Mr. Teddy Reiser. Teddy from New Jersey is here with us today. He was a member of the Great Range Athlete Phelps team, as was his wife, Damaris. Teddy is also the person who created the Great Range Athlete logo, the 46 Outdoors logo, and for all of you cookie lovers out there, the Blue Line Bakery logo. So if you do need a website or a logo, hit up Teddy Reiser. But Teddy, welcome to the 46 of 46 podcast. It's fun to have you on, like, for real now here on the podcast. But talk to me about your experience with the Great Range Athlete program. I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, thanks for the shout out, James. And I guess I'll just start by saying, like, fitness has not been a part of my life, unlike Mr. Von Shank and Mallory, the marathon runners. I've been in a gym maybe 5 times in my life, and I didn't play any sports unless you count World of Warcraft and skateboarding, which I think most people would not. So I did always like the outdoors and going hiking with my dad and camping. Around 2019, my dad had a sudden cardiac arrest. He's okay. Everything worked out all right, but it sort of shifted something in my head about health and fitness that had just never been there before. And actually, as a direct result of that incident is what led me to the Adirondacks. I had never been there before, but I just fell in love with the idea of peak bagging. So I'm sure everybody on this call, or at least the people who have been to the Adirondacks, share that as well. Just something about the list and you know, having to make a spreadsheet and trying to overcome, these mountains. And then, for me personally, they really pushed me. So fell in love with the Adirondacks. I remember specifically I did the lower Great Range and I went up the cable route on Gothics and I was with my wife and my brother and I was just suffering so bad. The views were like some of the most breathtaking views I've ever seen. And I was just flat out miserable. And not only that, but I was bringing them down like because of my mood, because I was just not having fun. And so something about that also was like, maybe I should just try because I want to have more of these experiences. I want to enjoy the mountains. I want to try and, accomplish this thing called the 46. So let me see if I can actually focus on my health. So that summer, that was 2023, I actually just did a little bit of running, just a little bit of my own sort of fitness. And then by the end of that season, I was able to do Marcy, Skylight, and Gray. And it was just making a small effort in my own fitness. The contrast of the experience that I had in Gothics versus I remember throwing my trekking poles down on Skylight. I was just so happy and I felt so accomplished in what I was doing. And so that is what brought me to Great Range Athlete because I wanted more of that moment that I had on Skylight where I'm like, I can do this. I got a taste of what it meant to sort of overcome and improve my fitness. And I wanted more of that. And I will say the program for sure delivers. I think I went in with a healthy skepticism thinking, I wonder how like bench pressing is going to help me hike. But the results just speak for themselves. I went hiking in the Catskills. I wasn't able to join the group for Phelps, unfortunately, but when I did do my hike, I felt I had my brother with me again, and he's always like my pacer. And I was smoking him, which doesn't often happen. So yeah, it's been great. It's been super rewarding, and the community aspect as well. I just love it. I love seeing everybody else's progress, and you do get to know these people, even though we haven't met only through the app. The whole experience as one package has just been super rewarding.
Glad to hear it. And you partook this program with your wife. How did your wife fare throughout the program? She's also become a very core member, constantly posting, still running the program, still going strong. How did she fare?
She loved it as well. Yeah, I was hoping she would come down and join. She's putting the baby to bed, but so she might pop in here in a couple minutes. But yeah, it was good that we did it together. I think she loved it. We're sort of competitive with each other too. So like but we helped keep each other accountable, right? Like we made sure that we were getting our workouts in. And if I was like, I confessed to her like, oh, I didn't do like one part of the workout. She's like, oh, I'm going to rat you out on the Marco Polo. So you got to make sure that you do everything on the paper. So
I love that.
it's
That's
been
great.
great too. Like it helped us. we started this ritual every Sunday where we'd sit down and we'd plan out, okay, here you'll work out in the morning and then I'll watch the baby and then I can work out at night. And it helped us sort of just like center our whole family around the program too. So it's been, yeah, we both have loved it and it's been an awesome thing that we've done together.
Glad to hear that. So far, almost all but one Great Range athlete team has had multiple husband-wife duos on the team. I think we had four on this team actually, if I'm counting correctly, which is always exciting because there always is that sort of fun competitiveness that gets built within within the married couples in particular. So glad to see it. It was awesome. Glad you were here and honored that you were to run the program too, being having had such an impact on my business myself. So I appreciate you, dude. Keep up the good work.
Thank
All
you,
right.
James.
We're going to move now across the river from New Jersey over to Westchester County to Mr. Andrew. Andrew, welcome to the 46 of 46 podcast. Now, Andrew, you had reached out to me about joining a Great Range athlete team pretty much like right after another team had started. So you were kind of itching to go. So A, I appreciate that for starters. But B, what was it about, Great Range athlete that caught your attention to want to join? I know you're hiking in the Adirondacks, but give us kind of your story, my friend.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us all here. Yeah, I did. I found out about the program through, as I imagine a lot of folks did, through the podcast. Such a great way to kind of get it out there. My son and I were in the midst of doing some of the 46 High Peaks. We're currently at number 18, and we really started that journey just as a way to kind of connect and I think also as a way for me to kind of focus on fitness a little bit. Yeah, I'm very much in the Teddy camp here. Like, was not and not the Steve Von Shank and Mallory camp. Not like an athlete. A lot of these workouts and a lot of these movements themselves were brand new to me. But that was something that I was kind of craving. I think Teddy, I kind of share that same story, that you've got, like going up the mountain there and really struggling. When my son and I started doing this a few seasons back, I remember going up some of these high peaks and then coming back down, and it was like I'd say half a week recovery time, like my quads, I could barely like walk the next couple of days, and then like, I was also kind of working through a back injury, and forgive me for jumping all over the place, but that back injury also had me realize that strength training is a big component of this. And I think just through listening to the podcast and understanding that is one of the components here is a lot of strength training. I mean, we've heard a lot of the other participants here talk about cardio and their cardio fitness. And you mentioned kind of feeling like maybe there was a piece of the puzzle that was missing, like, maybe you were doing some cardio. I was too, right? I enjoy riding a bike a lot. But there was a big portion of this that I was missing, both for hiking, and for this back injury. And, a great physical therapist, a great PT kind of really made that connection for me. Like, hey, dummy, you got to strengthen your core, and I just started seeking out things that, similar. And this was like the next step. And it just made sense with the Adirondacks. And yeah, so, this program is exactly kind of what I was looking for. And that's it. Yeah.
I love it. You talked about getting stronger. Stronger muscles will lead to longer miles, and that's exactly what you're doing. You could be in great shape physically, but if your muscles aren't conditioned for the climb, suddenly hiking is, again, a different beast, a different animal. It's a totally different ball game.
That's it. And it's so cross-platform, right? Like, your body is your body. I mean, yes, we're training hiking muscles here, but it just applies to so much else, right? I mean, I was on a mountain bike ride this past weekend and felt much better and much faster and was ready to tackle things that I hadn't tackled at all the previous 2 seasons on the mountain bike. And that's, that's all because of this. So,
Awesome.
yeah, that's it.
Glad to hear it, dude. Glad to hear it. You did a great job. You were also a very core member, always getting those early morning posts and just being there on the Marco Polo. So I appreciate you having us there. All right, moving on. I saved him for the end. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome my older brother to the 46 of 46 podcast, Mr. Joey Appleton, the owner and head of the Shift Construction team. My brother and his whole team ran this program together. So I'm very looking forward to hearing how his experience went, especially with the team. His entire crew ran the program. So when they get to work in the morning, they were probably sore and moving slowly. But Joey, welcome to the 46 of 46 podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and definitely was a pleasure to be a part of this group and everyone on this call. Amazing kind of working with everyone. I've met a couple of you, Steve and Rob and Mallory, in person on the hike, but everyone else I feel like workout buddies and hiking buddies, but still never met. So it's a cool dynamic that this program brings, and it's been an exceptional dynamic for us and our company. We're we're new business, and James, when you brought up, you called me one day and just said, "Hey, I'm launching another Great Range program, and you should consider signing up." And it was perfectly timed. We were looking for something to kind of get out of the blues of the winter, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna reach out to every one of my employees and pay for them as a part of a wellness program to join this thing too. And what a great experience. Everyone loved it. We had one student, he's an intern. So he was in high school doing high school sports. He struggled a little bit to keep up with everything, but he had a lot of good excuses for playing basketball and, sports all night long. But, yeah, every day we were, talking about who did the workout, or I was usually the one doing them all in the morning. And then, and they were doing them all at night. And so I would give them the rundown in the morning and get them mentally prepped for it. And then I'd hear about it the next day. And it was a lot of fun, definitely great team dynamic. And we, four of us total were able to do the hike and together. And we still talk about that regularly. And we definitely, all share the outdoors, enthusiasm. So it was perfect. And for me personally, I kind of like Andrew, I had back issues. My 30s were just on and off back problems. And that was in parallel with having kids and getting them, to the 8, in the 6 and 9 now, and trying to get them that age. And it was just wearing on my mental ability to kind of stay fit and find time to do things. So it really hadn't been, being that athlete that I normally strive to be, and do a lot of mountain biking, do a lot of running and backcountry skiing and stuff, but nothing that was building strength. And my back, I ended up having a back surgery, and a couple weeks after I turned 40, and that was kind of like the eye opener. So this was kind of perfectly timed, where I was kind of recovered from my surgery to the point where I could actually start lifting again and start doing some heavier things. And man, I feel like $1 million now compared to what I did before. And it's been a while since I've hiked a high peak too. My wife and I were Amy, who also did the program. So it was also another, dynamic having her, and doing it as well. But, yeah, we haven't hiked a high peak since we had kids, over 9 years ago. And, so it was great to get out there. This was our first winter hike together. And man, it was like walking the woods, really. We had a great time with everybody, and we get to see the top, and kind of get that summit and that wind whipping, and that's kind of the experience. And you just take it all in. You weren't, didn't feel like we were suffering, didn't feel like we were struggling. It was just kind of the ideal experience. So it was a perfect hike, perfect day, great team of people. And
awesome. I love to hear it. What a difference climbing mountains makes when you can just walk up to the top and not want to die. So if any of you have my new book, or you've listened to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me talk about the story of when I bonked on Mackenzie and my body stopped working. And it was the weirdest feeling I think I've ever experienced in my life. It was my brother and his wife, Amy, he was referring to, who saved the day and gave me the stuff that I needed so my body could start working again. But a wild time. How different life is now. And for you, Joey, like a year ago, you were walking with a cane, and now you're climbing up high peaks without an issue. So how does that feel, knowing like physically, fitness wise, you're like you're back?
I mean, I honestly, I don't even feel like I'm back yet. I feel like I just got I just got the little bit of momentum to know that I've got so much further that I can take this. And I know I'm kind of over that hump of playing it safe, you know, and I
Sure.
feel like now I can actually start to really improve my strength and really get back into the outdoors the way I used to do it, and not feel like I'm going to be overdoing it. That's that's what I used to get in trouble by Amy. Don't
Mhm.
do that. Don't just go and hike an 8 mile, or you've not hiked 4 miles in years, and now I feel like it's wide open to do more.
Yeah.
And so,
Absolutely. So awesome. So awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining the team. And it was so exciting and so fun watching your whole crew, both on the Marco Polo and just showing up, doing the work, and hearing the stories of what you guys were talking about at work, who's sore, how's it's going. As for all the listeners, I joked that I wanted his trailer to say the strongest construction crew in Vermont. That was my goal by the end of the program. So anyways,
we
awesome having you though.
thanks. Every day we're together. There's something that's getting picked up or whatever, and we do that. We say, we're great range athletes. We can do this. And it kind of, is a daily reminder of what we did together. And it's great.
I love it. You are all great range athletes, and I thank all of you guys for allowing me the privilege of leading you over the 6 to 7 weeks that we were training together and leading you up the mountain. And I hope there's lots of more Phelps team hikes to come this summer and moving forward. It's been a pleasure. Now that's going to wrap up this episode of the 46 of 46 podcast. We are currently right smack in the middle of the current Great Range Athlete team, the Cascade team. But if what we talked about today resonated with you, or you feel that you need to get stronger and fitter so that you can enjoy your mountain adventures, the next Great Range Athlete team will kick off June 1st. Mark your calendars. June 1st is the next time we're going to get this thing up and going. So if this does resonate with you, now is the time to join. Head over to greatrangeathlete.com and secure your spot today. But that'll do it for this episode of the 46 of 46 podcast. Check out 46outdoors.com for everything that I can offer you so that you can have safe and successful hiking adventures here in the ADK and beyond. Check out my brand new book, The Adirondack 46 in 18 Hikes, the complete guide to hiking the high peaks, excuse me. If you are about planning to, do some Adirondack hiking this summer, you're going to go after your 46. That book has everything that you need to know to climb the mountains. And if you are already an Adirondack 46er and you want to read somebody else's journey and relive the 46 high peaks start to finish, every trail, every mountain, every summit sandwich, and even every milkshake at Stewart's after the hike, that book will have a story for you. So check it out. That's available wherever you get your books. But that'll do it for this episode of the 46 of 46 podcast. Remember to always leave no trace, do the rock walk, and if you carry it in, carry it out. See you on the trails, everybody.